learning English faster than ever before is not about being born in the right country, not about having perfect teachers, and not about memorizing thousands of grammar rules. It is about mindset, consistency, courage, and practice in real life. Starting to learn English is not about waiting for confidence, and it is not about waiting until your grammar is perfect. The biggest mistake most learners make is that they wait. They wait for the right moment. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until they think their English is good enough to speak. But the truth is simple. That moment never comes. You do not become ready first and then start speaking. You start speaking and then you become ready. The moment you open your mouth and try, even with broken words, even with hesitation, even with mistakes, that is the moment real learning begins. Many people think they should first build a strong foundation of vocabulary before speaking. They believe they must memorize thousands of words, understand all tenses, and practice perfect sentences in their mind. But language is not mathematics. You cannot solve it on paper first and then apply it later. Language lives in usage, in communication, in real interaction. When a child learns their mother tongue, they do not study grammar books first. They listen, they imitate, they repeat, and slowly they start forming sentences. That natural process is exactly how English should be learned as well, no matter your age or background. Fear is the biggest barrier, not English itself. People are afraid of making mistakes. They are afraid that others will laugh at them, judge them, or think less of them. But mistakes are not signs of failure. They are signs of movement. If you are not making mistakes, you are not pushing yourself enough. Every wrong sentence is actually a step closer to the right one. Every awkward pronunciation is training your tongue and brain to adapt. If you stay silent to avoid mistakes, you also avoid progress. Silence feels safe, but it does not lead anywhere. Speaking early builds confidence faster than any textbook. Even if you know only a few words, use them. Use them again and again in different situations. Try to express your thoughts with whatever vocabulary you have. You may feel limited at first, but limitation forces creativity. You start finding new ways to say the same thing. You start connecting words like building blocks. Slowly, what once felt difficult becomes natural. That transformation does not happen through thinking alone. It happens through action repeated over time. Many learners underestimate the power of imperfect communication. They believe that if a sentence is not grammatically correct, it is useless. But in real life communication, being understood is more important than being perfect. Even broken English can carry powerful meaning if the intention is clear. People respond to effort, not perfection. When you try to speak, others usually understand your intention, and that understanding builds your confidence to continue. Confidence then creates momentum, and momentum leads to improvement without you even noticing it happening. Another important thing is that speaking from day one trains your brain differently. Instead of translating everything in your native language first, you start thinking directly in English. At first, this process is slow and uncomfortable. You pause often, you search for words, And sometimes you feel stuck in the middle of a sentence. But this struggle is actually your brain building new connections. Over time, those pauses become shorter and eventually they disappear. The language starts flowing more naturally because you have trained your mind to respond instead of translate. There is also a hidden advantage in starting early with speaking. It exposes your weaknesses immediately. Instead of discovering your problems after months of study, you find them in real time. You realize which words you lack, which sounds are difficult, and which structures you need to improve. This awareness is powerful because it directs your learning. Instead of studying everything blindly, you start focusing only on what you truly need. Learning becomes practical, not theoretical, and every new word you learn has a purpose attached to it, making it easier to remember and use again in conversation where communication becomes more dynamic and less predictable, allowing your brain to adapt in real situations where you are forced to respond quickly without preparation. Many people try to learn English by focusing only on books, rules, and memorization, but real fluency does not come from studying alone. It's from exposure, listening, speaking, and using the language in real situations. If you want to learn English faster than ever before, you must stop treating it like a school subject and start treating it like a living tool. A language is not something you complete. It is something you use every day. The more you use it, the more natural it becomes. Surrounding yourself with English is one of the most powerful methods of learning. When your environment is filled with English, your brain starts adjusting automatically. At first, it may feel confusing. You may not understand everything you hear or read, but understanding is not the first goal. Familiarity is the first goal. When your ears get used to English sounds and your eyes get used to English words, your brain begins to recognize patterns. This recognition slowly turns into understanding, and understanding eventually turns into fluency. You do not need to move to another country to create this environment. You can build it anywhere. You can change the language on your phone, watch English videos, listen to English conversations failed, and follow English content that interests you. Even if you only understand a small part in the beginning, your brain is still learning. It is adapting quietly in the background. Learning happens even when you are not fully aware of it. One of the most important habits is active listening. Many people listen to English content but do not pay attention to how sentences are formed or how words are connected. Active listening means focusing on pronunciation, rhythm, and structure. It means noticing how native speakers express simple ideas in different ways. When you listen carefully, you start absorbing natural patterns of speech. These patterns are more valuable than memorizing grammar rules because they show you how English is actually used in real life. Many people believe that learning English is about studying hard, but in reality, it is about building habits that repeat every single day. You do not become fluent because you studied for 1 week or 1 month. You become fluent because you stayed in contact with the language for a long time, even when you were tired. even when you felt slow, even when you thought you were not improving. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. A small effort every day is stronger than a big effort once in a while. The human brain does not learn language in a rush. It learns through exposure and repetition. When you hear or use a word once, it may disappear quickly. When you hear it again and again in different situations, your brain starts recognizing it naturally. That is how learning becomes automatic. Many learners fail because they try to learn too much at once, then stop for days or weeks, and then start again from the beginning. This cycle breaks progress. Real improvement comes when you never fully disconnect from the language. Daily exposure is one of the strongest tools in language learning. You do not need to sit in a classroom for hours. You can listen to English while walking, while eating, while traveling, or while doing simple tasks. Even if you do not understand everything, your brain is still working in the background. It is getting used to the sound, the rhythm, and the structure. Slowly, what once sounded strange starts sounding familiar. Familiarity is the first step toward understanding, and understanding is the first step toward fluency. Practice is not something that happens only in study time. Practice happens in small moments throughout the day. When you think about your plans, try thinking in English. When you describe your surroundings, try using English words in your mind. When you see something, try naming it in English. These small actions may feel simple, but they train your brain to switch from your native language to English without effort. This switch is what creates fluency over time. Many learners make the mistake of waiting for perfect conditions. They think they need a teacher, a classroom, or a special environment to practice. But learning English does not require special conditions. It requires daily commitment. You can learn from videos, from conversations, from songs, from mistakes, and from silence. Every situation becomes a learning opportunity when you decide to stay consistent. Discipline is more important than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel excited to learn, and some days you do not feel like doing anything. If you depend only on motivation, your progress will stop and start again and again. But discipline keeps you moving even on slow days. Even if you learn only one new sentence today, that still counts. Even if you listen for just 10 minutes, that still builds your foundation. Small actions done daily create big results over time. Another important part of consistency is not being afraid of repetition. Many learners get bored when they see the same words or hear the same phrases again and again. But repetition is not a weakness, it is the core of learning. Every time you repeat something, it becomes stronger in your memory. Just like physical training builds muscles through repeated exercise, language learning builds fluency through repeated exposure and use. Without repetition, nothing stays in your mind for long. It is also important to accept slow progress. Learning a language is not a race where you reach the finish line quickly. It is a long journey where speed does not matter as much as direction. Some days you will feel improvement, and some days you will feel stuck. This is normal. The key is to continue without stopping. Even when progress feels invisible, your brain is still absorbing information. Growth often happens quietly before it becomes visible. Another powerful habit is surrounding yourself with English as much as possible. Change small things in your environment. Listen to English voices regularly. Read simple English texts, even if they are easy. Watch content that interests you in English. When your environment is filled with a language, your brain adapts naturally without pressure. You do not have to force learning. It becomes part of your daily life. The goal is not to study English as a subject, but to live with English as a tool. When it becomes part of your routine, you stop thinking of it as difficult. It becomes normal. And when something becomes normal, improvement happens without stress. Over time, your understanding grows, your speaking becomes smoother, and your confidence increases without you even noticing the exact moment it changed. Another important practice is repetition through exposure. If you hear a word or phrase only once, it may not stay in your memory. But if you hear it repeatedly in different contexts, your brain starts storing it naturally. This is how children learn language without effort. They hear the same words again and again until those words become part of their thinking. Adults can learn the same way if they allow repetition instead of avoiding it. Many learners make the mistake of trying to understand every single word. This creates pressure and slows down progress. In reality, you do not need to understand everything to learn. Even if you understand only a part of a conversation or video, you are still learning. Your brain fills in the gaps over time. Gradually, those missing pieces become clear as exposure increases. Learning English is not about immediate understanding. It is about gradual improvement. Speaking is another key part of surrounding yourself with English. You should not wait until your English is perfect before you start speaking. You should speak from the beginning. Even if your sentences are simple or incomplete, speaking forces your brain to recall words quickly and build sentences in real time. This process is uncomfortable at first, but it is extremely powerful. It pushes your mind to think in English instead of translating from your native language. Thinking in English is a major step toward fluency. At the beginning, most learners translate everything in their mind before speaking. This slows down communication and creates hesitation. But when you surround yourself with English, your brain slowly starts thinking directly in English. This change does not happen suddenly. It happens through constant exposure, listening, and speaking. Over time, English stops feeling like a separate subject and starts becoming part of your natural thinking process. Another important aspect is patience with yourself. When you are surrounded by a new language, progress may feel slow at first. You may feel like you are not improving, but learning is happening even when you cannot see it clearly. Your brain is building connections silently. One day, you will suddenly realize that you understand more than before, or you can express yourself more easily. That moment is the result of all the small exposures you experience daily. The key is to make English a natural part of your life, not something you study